female street artists probably go hard or more committed than the guys are. They're brewing and they click up. Like you don't, of course, like you don't see most of them, but if you're aware, they all run together. They don't have like the hostility that the dudes have with each other. They're clicked up and they're dope. And then they're not random artists. They're like, oh, what is her name? Her name starts with the R. But like she's an actual shoe designer, works for a manufacturing company. Some of these girls are like professionals, like they have actual real professional jobs in design and marketing and whatnot. Right. And they've been an artist since they were a child. And it isn't like, oh, I saw street art, no, I want to become. You get the guys like that. The girls that get into it, it's like, okay, I've done everything I can think of. What's next for me to do? Or that, or my friends doing that, cool. And they teach each other shit. Dude, they're dangerous, bro. Like going to an HBCU was cool on the merit, like, and this, I go by the way my father describes it. He was like, before integration, you know, you went to a school, it was black school teacher, black principal, you know what I mean, black nurse. He was like, you know, my math teacher was an accountant. My science teacher was, you know, a dentist and a pediatrician. You know, like everybody that taught at school had a profession. And he was like, after integration, you didn't see that anymore. He's like, now the only places you can see that consistency for, you know, and I don't like to say black, I prefer to say Afro-American. But for Afro-American is, they go to HBCU. So when I was there, the sentimental value, it made me, I felt like I was experiencing what my father grew up with.
History.
Yeah, history, you know what I mean? So I see the value in it. I don't want to call it the downside, but the part that I think they're working on creating that transition is like, if you didn't go to Howard, to Grambling, to, you know, Jackson State, to Hampton University, the elite, which are all private schools. I think Jackson State is obviously a state university. But if you didn't go to the higher ranking schools, then half of the people don't even believe that that's a real college. When you tell them some of the schools. So they don't transition you to deal with that societal disconnect. Stigma. Yeah. They don't. They're just like, great job, you graduated, great GPA, here's some opportunity prospects.
History is like, if you think of history as like a ruler, a 12-inch ruler, everybody knows the first 3 inches, you know, the next 6, and once you get past the next 6, it starts getting harder.
It fades off.
And there's a lot of obscure stuff in Lower East Side that's really important.
Well, something that I would get from a lot of older people, I don't mean to say older just because they're older than me, you know, they would tell me, like, they're like, yo, what you're doing reminds me of a time period, you know, and all the time, and not to be, you know, I have no shame about ethnic racial dynamic. I had this one lady, she was very honest with me. She was like, I really don't want to be around black people. She was like, but we're on a train, it's shocking. She said, I don't really like being around black people. You know, it's just makes you feel uncomfortable. She's like, but this place is made for you. She's like, you don't know the history here, but this area is made for you.
Down here.
Yeah. And that fucked me up. I was like, really? Something that bothers me about, and I don't like to be, I don't consider this negative talk, but it's just, you know, it's both sides of the spectrum. Something that bothers me, and I saw it in LA, the first time I kind of caught wave to experiencing it, not just thinking about it and seeing it from afar. Downtown LA Art Walk was a thing. It started out as nothing, right? And it grew and grew and grew and grew. And it was this core group of artists that were pushing and perpetuating it. And they were making, if they're not curating, they're exhibiting, they're doing projects to get sponsors, all this other stuff, right? That that generation of artists eventually blew up and went abroad, but they never had predecessors.
But they were always thought it was Mexican.
The Latino art is stronger. The Latino.
Well, I mean, that sort of became like a thing too.
Oh man, yo. I just want to finish this point because I can tell you some shit about that LA shit. That shit's crazy. So you didn't see any kind of predecessor, and then it became like this, like a Mardi Gras style thing. The art walk. It wasn't really about the art anymore, and that's what's happening here. I feel like I was part of like the last wave of, like, I guess, like organic just random dope art, and then success comes, and no one groomed anyone to fill it and keep it moving.
What you're talking about is underground and above ground, and that's like really important because once it gets to be above ground, then it becomes controlled. It has a look. I mean, that's like that wall in Houston in the Bowery now.
Though I love it, but
it just looks like commercial art.
Now it does.
Now,
originally it was not that.
It was not.
It was not. So their kids are getting a hold of it and doing who the fuck knows what. Why you think about it? What contracting work? You're painting houses, right?
Right.
Using what? A roller.
Right. Or a spray bottle. Big spray.
So dad and his friend just got abundance of that shit at the house.
Right.
Come on, bro. Dude, figure it out, bro. He's mad. You just want bitch.
So you do silk screening for hire too, right? You do shirts,
yeah.
artwork,
Yeah.
stuff. What about if somebody wants to do for like wheat paste? What would happen if I wanted to do an image and get an image out there? What would I do? Go by size?
Yeah, well, okay, so in all fairness, I don't give a fuck. People can know this. If I don't fucking know you like that, or you a company, tax it. Fuck off. I don't know you, sorry. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Cliche, but true. You know, but if, like, I know you, so it's gonna be next to nothing. You know what I mean? So what I want to ask is, right, because like people like you, Diaz, you guys have just like somehow morphed into and adjusted like a staying power of being, I don't want it to sound cheesy, but creative. You're still a contemporary. You're not history.
Well, we stayed on point. Whereas the other guys like the Herrings and all that, they went on and got the big fame. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have neighborhood fame.
Right.
You know, it's like a neighborhood.
So was, how I want to ask this? It's like when that split happened, was it awkward?
Look, I just kept on going. That's all.
Okay, so it was just like everybody just doing their own thing. There was no like.
Well, you know, we were always sort of outsiders, Elsa and I, like the real cool scene in the East Village. You know, I started off in Soho, and I was making it. You know, a nice gallery showing, Brooklyn Museum, the whole thing. I hated that world, so I came over to the Lower East Side, and it was like more familiar and more within my taste.
Okay.
And then, like the cool Alphabet City scene, I wasn't part of that either.
Oh wow.
I was always outside of all of those scenes.
Oh wow.
So like, you know, that's why when a lot of this stuff comes up, I'm not really part of it because they don't see me as that. Yeah. But I was there doing my.
But they know your fucking name.
Well, of course.
They know your fucking name.
I documented so much of it. I made impressions in different ways, but I was never one of the cool scene guys. But you hope with the dedication, the ambition, the desire, and staying at it, you eventually get there. It's like you with the street art. You know, eventually people recognize the head. You know, I know your stuff out there now, and I've seen it for a long time. And if you went through my archives, you could probably find a bunch of it because I photograph a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And eventually, by the consistency and the dedication, eventually you get there. Because in my opinion, a lot of the other people that are out there and big, eventually they'll get knocked out. It'll be like the beginning of the 20th century, when all the stuff from the outside got inside and the inside got pushed outside.